Hi, this is Lisa. I'm going to tell you about evaluating functions today. When we talk about functional notation, we're just talking about a symbol where we replace y with this notation f of x. F means we have a function, and the parentheses x does not mean we're multiplying by x. It means in the variable of x. Okay, and functions can have different notations. We could have a function g of x, for example, or g of y. Okay, we can change the function name and we can change the variable that we're using. But for most of our work, we're going to use f of x. When we want to find the value for a given function, for example, if we're given the function f of x equals, that didn't copy quite right, but f of x equals 5x plus 3, and I want to evaluate at f of negative 1, notice the only thing that's changed here is where I have x, now I'm replacing that with negative 1. So I want to go to my function, and where I have x, I want to wrap it in parentheses and replace it with that number. So I'm going to have 5 parentheses plus 3. And in place of x, this time I'm going to plug in negative 1. 5 times negative 1 is negative 5, plus 3 is negative 2. Now I can do these calculations on my calculator as well. I just want to make sure I'm always wrapping my variable in parentheses. So when I substitute negative 1 in, I'm going to have 5 parentheses, negative 1 parentheses plus 3, and my calculator tells me that I do get negative 2. So it's possible to do these both by hand and or on the calculator. And there's what that one looks like on the calculator. Okay, we can do the same thing with 1. I'm going to do it by 1 just because I find it a little bit quicker. 5 times 1 plus 3. 5 plus 3 is 8. So my function value is 8. I can also substitute in another expression. Again, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going back to my original function. It was 5 parentheses plus 3. And this time, instead of 5x, replacing the x, I'm going to type in a plus 1. If I want to simplify, I'm going to use the same rules that I always do. I'm going to get rid of my parentheses by distributing. 5 times a is 5a plus 5 times 1 is 5 plus 3, and I can combine my like terms together. 5a plus 8. That's what f of a plus 1 is equal to. Okay, so that would be my final answer on that problem. We're going to do another example. Again, we're substituting numbers in for our x values. So wherever we have an x, we're going to put parentheses around it. Everything else stays on the outside of those parentheses. So I'm going to have negative 3 parentheses squared plus 5 parentheses minus 1. And in for x, this time I'm substituting negative 2. So negative 2 has to go inside the parentheses. On this one, if I bring the calculator back, oops, okay, if I bring the calculator back on this one, I have negative 3 parentheses, negative 2 parentheses squared plus 5 parentheses, negative 2 close parenthesis minus 1. And my calculator will tell me my answer here is negative 23. I can do the same thing for the next line. Instead of plugging in negative 2, I can type in 0. negative 3 parentheses 0 squared plus 5 parentheses 0 minus 1. And again, I can do that on the calculator. Negative 3 parentheses 0 parentheses squared plus 5 parentheses 0 parentheses minus 1. And my calculator tells me now the answer is negative 1. So let me maximize this window again. So when I'm doing this one, my answer turned out to be, let me move this off to the side a little bit. My answer here turned out to be negative 23. Here my answer was negative 1. And for f of a, same thing that I did in the last problems, but negative 3 parentheses a squared plus 5 parentheses a minus 1. If I get rid of my parentheses, negative 3, a squared is a squared without parentheses, plus 5 times a is 5a minus 1. And there's my final answer on that one. And that's how you evaluate a function for a given value.